My name is Cole Vincent, and I'm here to welcome you back to Texas. The first thing I want to talk about is just don't really rush yourself back into reintroducing yourself coming back. You should really take some time and sit and reflect. Some people might not have this opportunity, they might have things already planned, but I would encourage you not to just rush in and do every single little thing humanly possible, even though you might miss it, but just to take a day or two and reflect on your experience. So, with all that being said, here is our first topic: reverse culture shock. So, culture shock is something that you might have experienced when you came into Germany, but what even is reverse culture shock? Reverse culture shock refers to the emotional and psychological disorientation experienced by individuals when they return to their home country. Unlike the initial culture shock, when you encounter a new culture, you might find that when you return, you have to readjust to familiar surroundings, and you might find a lot of ways that you've changed or grown. And this is why I say that we should take it slow, because reverse culture shock can feel very frustrating. It can feel like, why do I feel like I have to, you know, reintroduce myself or readjust to these things? But you have grown and you have changed. So it's very important that you realize that and take it pretty slow. So if you are experiencing reverse culture shock, here's a couple things that you can do. First thing is to stay connected with your friends from your host country. So if you've made any friends in Dresden, just be sure to, follow them on Instagram and stay connected with them as best as you can. You can also find a way to reconnect with hobbies or activities you enjoyed while abroad. Maybe you really enjoyed walking around the city, and you can drive down to downtown San Antonio and walk around the river walk in the same way and kind of get the same kick out of it. Or maybe you picked up a new hobby or picked up a new sport and you can play that at UTSA. Another thing, and this is really huge, is to keep in touch with your fellow study abroad students, because they can really understand and sympathize what you've been through, partially because they've been through the same thing. But there's plenty of other study abroad students at UTSA who haven't gone to Dresden, and they can experience reverse culture shock, or they can experience similar things, and y'all will be able to talk about them. So the next topic I want to talk about is host sickness. Now, this isn't an actual disease or anything. You don't need to be worried, but it's kind of a play on words similar to homesickness. So it's like host country sickness. So what is it? So like homesickness that you may have experienced while you were abroad, you may find yourself missing your host country. This is a common feeling which is part of the readjustment when you come back. Maybe you adjusted to food, people, culture, like I said earlier, hobbies or activities. So it's very natural to feel a sense of longing for a place that became very significant during your time abroad. So if you're experiencing homesick or host sickness, here's a couple things that you can do. You can be very involved in cultural exchanges with people from your host country. So say if international students are coming here from your host country, trying to seek them out. You can cook or seek out foods that you enjoyed. I know that there's plenty of German restaurants downtown that you can find, or plenty of recipes that you can cook. You can also make a memory book to look back on. This can be a collaborative effort with your other classmates. Or you can also plan a trip to visit. You guys can get together and plan a trip to go back and visit Dresden and relive all the experiences that, you really miss. So, with all that being said, I'm glad y'all are back in Texas.